Caracas, Venezuela. Set against the spectacular backdrop of the Avila Mountains, this vibrant metropolis of 5 million souls is an intoxicating cocktail of all things Latin American. In the 1950s, oil money helped transform the former colonial town into a vast concrete sprawl, attracting thousands of migrants from rural areas. But most failed to realize their dreams of wealth and were instead forced to eke out hand-to-mouth existences. Today, hillside shanty towns or barrios dominate the city's periphery. Trans-world sport was drawn to the capital not by baseball or soccer, the country's two most popular sports, but by an altogether more high-flying activity. While mountaineering has a long tradition, competition climbing is a relatively new sport. In the late 1940s, competitions were regularly held in the former Soviet Union, and by the mid-80s they'd spread to Western Europe. At that time, events were always staged outdoors, but due to the unequal conditions that natural rock produces, together with increasing numbers of spectators, it was decided to switch them to artificial walls or indoor centers. In 1991, the first official World Championship took place in Germany, and last year, Trans-World Sport featured competition climbing as part of our report from the World Games in Duisburg. It was there that Venezuela's climbers came to our attention, with 2 men and 2 women competing amongst the sport's elite in the speed and difficulty categories. Although they returned from the World Games without a medal, the Venezuelans proved they were an emerging force. Nestor Carvajal is both coach and president of the National Mountaineering and Climbing Federation.
When we started out in 1995, the National Institute of Sport built us a climbing wall. We received a lot of support from them, and our success at international level has grown. In 1995, we were ranked 5th in Latin America, but from 2002 up, we've been ranked number 1. And we've been achieving reasonable results in climbing's World Cup series. We're ranked 10th in the world in speed, even though we're unable to travel to all of the competitions. But we're getting more help with that from the Institute and from a few private companies.
In speed climbing, competitors race head-to-head against the clock, making one ascent on each route of a 12-meter-high wall. Ranked number 1 in Venezuela, Lucelia Blanco is also the South American women's speed climbing champion. The 23-year-old metallurgy student who finished 8th at last year's World Games took up the sport in 1999.
This is an individual sport, which depends solely on you and your desire to improve your climbing and reach the top. It's a very challenging sport. That's what mainly attracted me to it. It's a challenging sport that's individual and unconventional. It's not something everybody does. Speed is a discipline that requires a lot of relaxation. It seems like a contradiction, but if you put too much pressure on yourself, you'll make a lot of mistakes. Personally, I try to climb on an instinctive level, making a movement, taking a step. Should I go this way or that way? I let my instincts take over.
Lucelia's principal challenger for speed climbing supremacy within Venezuela is her training partner and cousin, Burley de las Salas.
To be honest, there hasn't really been much rivalry between us. She's always supported me when I've won, and I've supported her when she's won. She started climbing before me, and she always used to be the winner. She was the best in speed, but then I started to put more effort into it. And well, for some time now, I've been better at the speed discipline.
In difficulty climbing, a higher wall with more challenging overhanging sections has to be scaled within a set time limit, normally between 6 and 8 minutes. Although Venezuela has 4 world-class speed climbers, only 2 possess a global ranking in the difficulty category, a less popular discipline in Latin America.
With difficulty, it's a different type of climb. You need a lot of stamina. More than anything, it's stamina and mental strength. You have to recognize the signs of fatigue, know how to rest and where to rest in order to recuperate as best you can. Then continue the ascent and try to make it to the top.
This year, the National Federation is sending 4 of its best climbers to take part in 5 competitions on the World Cup circuit. Climbing's top level of competition features 8 speed and 10 difficulty events, spread over 9 months in Europe, Asia and the Americas. Should they attain a top 8 ranking by the end of the season, they hope to receive sufficient backing to compete in the full World Cup program in 2007. With climbing's popularity continuing to grow in the country, Venezuela could soon ascend to the sport's highest echelon.